In the economy of everyday life, time's priceless. But in the daily dash to save it, time's spent cutting corners.
And there were 2 kids in car seats sitting in the car right out there.
Somebody could take the car, anything could take my children. It's just unsafe.
Still, few will admit saving time at their most precious possession's expense.
No, I've never left them alone in the car. I never would think of doing it.
But kids don't always go in. We spent 5 days watching people run errands at local malls and the like. And on just our second day, this mom purposely parks in the front row, leaving her 8-year-old and 9-month-old fresh from a doctor's visit, locked inside. 3 minutes later, mom's back with her kids.
We all have strep throat. We're all very sick. My baby's sound asleep after an hour of crying. You know, what do you do?
This youngster's left alone, again for a short time, again in the front row.
Only if I can lock all the doors and see her from here.
And this 9-year-old waits alone, while her younger brother and dad grab a bagel.
Normally I would not leave my child unattended, but I said, do you want to come with? And she said, no, I just want to sit in the car.
In 5 days, 5 times kids are left alone. Some adults wouldn't talk.
I'm really in a hurry.
And those who did talk, remember, they had reasons. A child's wish, a close parking spot, an illness.
There are issues and you have to figure out, when is this okay, when is this not okay?
It is a tough call. I know. I've got kids, and in the past, I've been split over what to do. In fact, there was a time I left my 2 oldest in the car during quick errands. But my wife cured me of that, and I haven't done it since. So the question is, does it really save that much time? Let's see. Here's a side-by-side comparison. Greg including the kids on the left and leaving them behind on the right.
Okay, guys, let's go.
On the left, taking the kids takes extra effort, but on the right, leaving them behind means unguarded chaos.
Blue and yellow stuff.
At least when they're with me on the left, it's controlled chaos.
Hey, stop the tongue.
On the right, I'm inside in 21 seconds. On the left, we're still walking, but the kids are safely in hand.
Stop the tongue there, silly.
With me, where I can see them. All in all, taking the kids takes 37 seconds, a difference of a mere 16 seconds.
Let's go.
As you can tell, it only takes a few seconds.
Sergeant Dennis Roski, the state's top auto theft cop, spends a half day with us watching.
She took the time to get both of them out of the car.
Roski's seen kids left alone before. He says that time saver's never okay.
Exactly. All it takes is one time, and a child is gone forever.
In Kansas City, a child's gone.
He was a perfect kid.
In late February, emergency crews hide the battered body of 6-year-old Jake Roble.
And I've done it a million times. Went in and paid for gas, dropped off a movie.
Earlier that afternoon, Mom, Christy Roble, stops at a sub shop. Jake wants to stay behind. The keys stay too. And in mere seconds, Christy learns someone's in the car.
So I was screaming, you know, just let me get my son, let me get my son.
Jake's hung up in the seatbelt outside the car, and Mom can't free him before the carjacker guns the engine.
He just kept driving and driving and driving. And he kept going over bumps, and my son was just flying everywhere, and I kept screaming for him to stop because my son was stuck.
Jake's dragged several miles at up to speeds of roughly 80 miles per hour.
I blame myself for being negligent, for not taking the precautions I should have taken.
The situation in Kansas City is the worst case scenario that could possibly happen, and you can't say it couldn't happen here.
While watching with Sergeant Roski, 2 moms spot our camera, which is now in the open, and yet a 5-year-old and infant are left alone.
They cannot be treating children like this. That child is in danger right now.
Once back, the first mom doesn't care to talk, and the second?
I usually don't do it, but my sister-in-law was with me, and she just asked me if it was okay if my daughter stayed in the car with her, but usually I don't do it. But I figured she was just standing right there watching.
That sister-in-law is a good 75 feet away from the children in that car. 5 or 6 seconds is all it takes for somebody to do something to those children.
I'm the fastest.
Locksmith Roy Owens knows locked cars are as vulnerable as kids. We asked this expert, who frees kids almost weekly, to open 5 locked cars. He did it in 1:45, while 3 took less than 10 seconds each. There's something faster.
The hammer or the rock. There's not much that'll beat that.
Well, I don't think there's any time where a parent should leave their child in a car unattended.
But for Sergeant Roski, the time that really counts is extra effort spent on kids. No one reflects on that more than a Kansas City mom.
I didn't even think that was going to be the worst mistake of my life.
Greg Vandegrift, KARE 11 News. Northwest is making a lot of noise these days.
If Northwest management isn't going to negotiate,
especially contract noise.
It sucks.
Travelers fear a strike.
It'd be horrendous for me.
But talk to airport neighbors.
What?
Or try to, and you'll hear a different view.
What? Yeah, it actually wouldn't be so bad. I think we kind of like a strike for about maybe a week or so. That'd be nice.
That would be nice not to have to hear it all the time.
Low-flying planes are all too common here in South Minneapolis. A Northwest strike would be like pulling an unwelcome weed.
Nice to have a little quiet. See, here comes another one. That's a small one, though.
It'd be kind of peaceful for a while.
Imagine the difference.
And it's like we just have a nice little village where there's no noise, where you don't have to go what every other day.
Peace and quiet at the price of labor unrest. Expensive, but that'll fly here in South Minneapolis. Greg Vandegrift, KARE 11 News.
We're trying to get home for Thanksgiving.
The rush is on. Holiday travelers trying to get there.
Take care. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
And at the airport, Skycap Ken Wolf sends people off with a smile.
Thank you, Ruby. Get that right back. Although I must say, you look so much better in person.
Ken's smile lightens the load for countless holiday travelers.
Yep, absolutely. Nice and heavy.
And there's reason for drivers to smile this holiday. The pump doesn't pinch as much.
The price is right. I've heard it as low as 85 some places.
Self-serve unleaded is down 18 cents from a year ago, averaging $1.03 a gallon.
That'll work.
There's a little bit more to spend on Grandma when we get down there.
Even good weather to smile about on the way to Grandma's.
Traffic in the left lane is running between 70 and 80.
But watch the speed. Extra troopers are out.
The forecast sounds like a terrific weekend. Our concern is the excessive speed that's likely to result.
Back at the airport, Skycap Ken keeps moving.
This is going to Chicago, and these are going to St. Louis. And I guess that's all she wrote.
Well, not all.
Oh, thank you very much.
A tip. Now that's reason to smile.
I knew that you wouldn't forget me.
Cold and rainy. Run across, man?
On a day fit for a case of the sniffles,
Step right in there.
volunteer Bob Brewstad
Gotta have a ticket. No popcorn, just a ticket.
greets mostly elderly Minnesotans braving the conditions for a flu shot.
Well, I got the first one today.
One Coke.
Inside West St. Paul's Augustana Lutheran Church, hundreds take in a show while awaiting their shot at a shot.
Didn't realize where I'm going.
Folks like Tom Bryan, who's thankful to be sitting in line.
I was very worried because I am very susceptible to flu.
Okay, you folks are next.
I had pretty well given up on it.
How many doses?
But in this year of a vaccine shortage, the Minnesota Visiting Nurse Agency managed to acquire more than it ever expected, some 80,000 doses. 1,600 available here today.
One person said that he had been to 5 different clinics, and finally he was able to get a shot.
The state health department says the visiting nurse vaccine is Minnesota's biggest shipment since word of the shortage.
Everybody's working very hard to address this situation, and I think we're making some very real progress.
Big needle.
Tom Bryan finally gets his shot, joining hundreds who waited up to a couple hours.
It was worth waiting. Thank you very much.
Certainly better than no shot at all during this cold and flu season.
This weather will give you flu if you...
Yeah.
Greg Vandegrift, KARE 11 News. The mini dish versus cable. It's the rivalry competing for your green and your baby blues. Just watch the ads and you get the picture.
AT&T digital cable from AT&T Broadband.
You bet it can be confusing. So let's stack the Twin Cities' largest competitors side by side. On the Carlson side of the TV universe, DirecTV and Dish Network. On the Moline side, AT&T Broadband and Time Warner Cable.
And the number of consumers that make it in terms of price and packaging, equipment purchases, factoring those into how they look at their rates.
So what about the rates? How much do you pay for how many channels? With all the mixing and matching, it can be like comparing apples and oranges. But let's go inside the numbers anyway, as they were in October.
That maybe he shouldn't have.
Here at Gillette Children's Specialty Health Care and other hospitals around Minnesota, Andrew's sadly one of many numbers. Just take a closer look at injuries. The Minnesota Department of Health says in 2002, hospitals treated 1,842 ATV injuries, far more than the number of snowmobile injuries in the same year. The state notes snowmobile injuries vary with snowfall. Still, the difference is significant.
In Minnesota,
The biggest thing to hit us since I don't know what.
Finally, Tiny Atwater's big day.
Never know what it could be.
Coming down to see the meteorite.
This is strange.
Hundreds come to watch divers ice fish.
I've got to figure this thing out here.
For whatever put a hole in Tad Lake last Sunday.
Have an alien cookie, Taffy. They're out of this world.
Somebody should be selling souvenirs.
And Louisa Road, who heard a boom and spotted a 10-inch hole, watches the throng.
And I was going to holler out and tell them I'm sorry I did this.
The dive into the unknown begins. Maybe a meteorite awaits.
I would be marvelously surprised if they found something.
We were discussing the poop theory.
Or airplane waste.
Curiosity killed a cat.
Well, look, Nick, now I can only see two of them. The third one has completely disappeared.
Slowly, treasures from the deep.
They weren't moon rocks.
Even life.
Some life, yeah. A turtle.
Turtles don't live in water, you know. Huh? Turtles don't live in water.
Louisa just
Oh,
watches.
boy, I put Atwater on the map.
After 45 minutes, it looks like Atwater's all wet.
No little green man.
There is a saucer, but not the flying kind.
It could be. Let's see if we can hit the dumpster with it.
And no meteorite.
Maybe it's like X-Files. It's unsolved and it'll continue.
It's certainly not on ice for Louisa.
Well, I'm going to keep looking. Come on.
Perhaps the sun hasn't set on Atwater's big day. Greg Vandegrift, KARE 11 News.